Picture this. You're lying next to someone you care about and your brain is absolutely screaming at you that something's wrong. Not wrong like they've done something bad, but wrong like maybe this whole relationship is wrong. Maybe you don't feel enough. Maybe the spark is fading and that means it's over. Maybe you're about to make a massive mistake by staying or by leaving and you genuinely can't tell which. And underneath all of that, you're hating yourself for even thinking this way because they're right there. They're wonderful. And what the hell is wrong with you? If that sounds familiar, stay with me, because this isn't about your relationship. This is about your ADHD brain doing what ADHD brains do in romantic relationships. And almost nobody talks about it. I'm Claire, and this is the Neuromajority, where we question whether neurotypical people might actually be the minority. And today we're looking at love, relationships and ADHD, and I'm going to share something I don't often talk about, my own messy, complicated experience with this. Section 1, the internal chaos. Most content about ADHD and relationships focuses on the external stuff, forgetting anniversaries, interrupting conversations, being late to dates, the behavioural things that partners can see and get frustrated by. But what almost no one talks about is the internal experience, the absolute chaos happening inside the ADHD person's head that their partner never sees. I have questioned every relationship I've ever been in, not because they were all wrong, though some definitely were, but because my brain generates doubt like it's a full-time job. I've left relationships I probably shouldn't have left. I've stayed way too long in others because I couldn't trust whether my this isn't right feeling was real or just my brain being, well, my brain. And I know I'm not alone in this. Here's what many ADHDers experience internally in relationships. The dopamine dilemma. New relationship feels amazing. 6 months in and you panic because the intensity has faded and your brain interprets comfortable as wrong. Rejection sensitivity. You're constantly scanning your partner's face, their tone, their texts, looking for signs that they're losing interest. So a neutral response becomes evidence that they're pulling away. Decision-making paralysis. I make impulsive choices, so I can't trust this feeling. But I also overthink everything, so I can't trust this feeling either. Identity fluidity. Your interests change, your goals evolve, and you think, if I don't even know who I am, how can I know who's right for me? This is exhausting, and it's largely invisible. Section 2, what research says and doesn't say. So what does research tell us about this? Well, there's actually quite a bit of research on ADHD and romantic relationships, but almost all of it focuses on what partners observe externally, not what's happening inside the ADHD person's mind. A 2025 study with 355 adults with ADHD identified 4 major themes in their relationship experiences. One was called the emotional roller coaster of rejection sensitivity. Another was the struggle for stability, that battle between passion and distraction. They also found something they called feeling like a burden in relationships. The research consistently shows that adults with ADHD report more relationship dissatisfaction, higher rates of relationship breakdown, and something called rejection sensitivity dysphoria, which is basically your brain's volume turned up to 11 when it comes to perceived rejection or criticism. There's research on executive function challenges, time management, working memory, impulse control, and how these things show up as forgotten tasks and missed commitments that partners interpret as you not caring. But here's what's fascinating to me. There's virtually nothing in the research about how the dopamine crash after a new relationship energy affects relationship decisions. The internal experience of constant self-doubt and questioning. How to distinguish between ADHD patterns and genuine relationship incompatibility. What healthy long-term partnership looks like when novelty seeking is neurological, not character. Whether ADHDers need different relationship frameworks altogether. And perhaps most tellingly, there's zero research on sexuality education or relationship guidance, specifically for young people with ADHD. We're just expected to figure it out. And this tells us something important. The struggle you're experiencing is so invisible, it hasn't even made it into research priorities yet. Section 3, the Neuromajority reframe. So here's where this connects to the bigger Neuromajority question. The standard narrative is people with ADHD struggle with commitment, are inconsistent partners, and need to work on themselves to be successful in relationships. But what if the actual problem is that relationship expectations are built for brains that naturally settle into routine? Brains where the dopamine doesn't crash when novelty fades. Brains where comfortable feels good rather than alarming. Brains where rejection doesn't feel like a 5-alarm fire. What if we're measuring ADHD relationships against completely the wrong standards? Think about conventional relationship advice. Trust your gut. If you're questioning it, that's your answer. When you know, you know. The right person will feel easy, but what if your gut is inherently variable? What if questioning is just what your brain does? What if knowing doesn't work that way for you? What if easy doesn't generate the dopamine your brain needs to feel alive? The advice isn't wrong for neurotypical brains, but it might be genuinely harmful for ADHD brains. We're not failing at neurotypical relationships, we're trying to force our square peg brains into round hole relationship models, and then wondering what's wrong with us when it doesn't fit. This isn't about making excuses. Both partners are equally responsible for a relationship success. But if one partner's brain genuinely works differently, processes emotions differently, experiences novelty and routine differently, interprets rejection differently, then maybe we need different maps for navigation. Maybe the question isn't how do I fix my ADHD brain to be better at relationships? Maybe it's what would relationships look like if they were designed for brains like mine? Section 4, a framework to start with. I don't have all the answers. I'm still figuring this out myself. But I want to offer you one framework that is starting to help me distinguish between this is my ADHD and this is a relationship issue. And it's a 3-way question. Is this them? So is your partner actually doing something that's not okay? Are there genuine red flags, incompatibilities or problems that need addressing? Is this me? Is this your ADHD brain doing its thing? Seeking dopamine, scanning for rejection, questioning your judgment? Is this a pattern you recognize from previous relationships? Or is this us? Is this about how you're interacting together? Communication styles, unmet needs, unrealistic expectations on either side. Them. This is about their behaviour, their choices, their patterns, real red flags, genuine incompatibility, actual problems. These need addressing or might mean the relationship isn't right. Me. This is your ADHD patterns. The dopamine crashing make comfortable feel wrong. RSD making you hypervigilant. Past mistakes making you doubt current judgment. These need understanding and management, not relationship ending. Us. This is the dynamic you've created together. Maybe they don't understand ADHD. Maybe you haven't communicated your needs. Maybe you've fallen into parent-child patterns. These need conversation and adjustment. Often it's not one or the other, it's multiple categories at once. But starting to separate them out helps you know what you're actually dealing with. So when you're lying awake at 2 a.m, convinced something's wrong, you can ask, has my partner actually done something concerning them? Am I in a dopamine crash and interpreting normal relationship evolution as failure? Me. Have we stopped communicating about our needs? Us. It's not perfect, but it's a starting point for making decisions from clarity rather than from panic. Section 5, partner perspective. So quick note, if you're the non-ADHD partner of someone watching this, your partner isn't ambivalent about you. They're ambivalent about their own judgment. What looks like inconsistency from the outside, so questioning the relationship, needing reassurance, then pulling away, that's often internal chaos that they're trying to manage. It's not that they don't care, it's that they care so much and their brain is generating so much noise that they can't hear clearly. This doesn't mean you have to accept everything or have infinite patience. It means understanding what you're actually dealing with helps you both respond more effectively. There'll be more on this in future content because this conversation needs both perspectives. I don't know if ADHDers are actually the majority or if neurotypical relationship models are the outlier, but I do know this. If you have felt alone in this struggle, you're not. If you've questioned every relationship you've ever been in, you're not broken. If you felt like you're failing at something everyone else seems to find easy, it is not a character flaw. Your brain works differently, and different does not mean deficient. I really want to hear from you. Have you experienced this internal chaos in relationships? The constant questioning, the dopamine crash, the rejection sensitivity. How do you navigate it? What works? What doesn't? Because here's the thing, research isn't studying this yet, which means we're figuring it all out together in real time. So drop your experiences in the comments. I read every single one. And depending on the response to this episode, I might create some more content and another series diving deeper into ADHD and relationships, the internal experience, the research, and how we might rewrite the rules together. If you found this helpful, please share it with someone who might need to hear it. And if you want more Neuromajority content challenging what we think we know about neurodivergency, subscribe. I'm Claire. Thanks for being here.